In the shadows of Quetta's alleys, 2 women were murdered in the name of honor. But this was no isolated act of tribal rage. It was a tremor in a deeper war, one waged not just with bullets, but with narratives. Not just by men with guns, but by agencies with agendas. And when the dust settled, it wasn't just Pakistan's conscience that was stirred, it was the state itself, stepping into the fire to fight back against a design far older, far deadlier, the systematic subversion of Balochistan. The recent honor killings in Quetta sparked horror across Pakistan. But what followed was equally significant. A swift and coordinated state response signaling that Pakistan is no longer willing to tolerate the misuse of cultural norms for violent ends, especially when such acts may be a part of a foreign-backed strategy of destabilization. Within days, law enforcement agencies, supported by both provincial and federal authorities, moved to apprehend suspects and launch investigations. But this was more than just a policing effort. It was a message. Pakistan will not allow tribal customs to be hijacked, neither by criminals nor by foreign intelligence networks manipulating local fault lines. The context, however, runs way deeper. Balochistan's slow erosion did not occur in isolation. For decades, India's Research and Analysis Wing has infiltrated the province, aiming to keep it fragmented, impoverished, and alienated from the state. Under Narendra Modi's Hindutva-driven foreign policy, these efforts have become more aggressive and insidious. From blocking education to inciting violence at cultural events, Raw's fingerprints are visible across many of Balochistan's crises. This is not organic tribal resistance, it is a synthetic ecosystem of regression and fear, deliberately cultivated to prevent Balochistan from becoming a pillar of national progress. The evidence is consistent. Schools under construction are being bombed. Cultural festivals are threatened. Girls' education programs are demonized as Western conspiracies. Honor is distorted into a justification for targeted killings. And in nearly every one of these hotspots, Indian proxies and separatists have been active, many of whom have been arrested or exposed over the past few years. These are not isolated phenomena, they are symptoms of India's hybrid war doctrine, waged through proxy militants, propaganda, and psychological operations. That is why Pakistan's response in Quetta carries strategic weight. By not only prosecuting the killers, but publicly denouncing the act, the state is challenging both the ideology behind the violence and the foreign hand that fuels it. This is about reclaiming Pakistan's cultural integrity from decades of distortion. It also exposes the hypocrisy of India's own internal dynamics. The same Hindutva ideologues who claim to protect tradition are themselves enabling violence at home. Minorities lynched in the name of cows, women brutalized under the pretense of honor, and police looking the other way. This toxic worldview is now being exported through Raw into Pakistan's tribal belts. But the difference is stark. Pakistan is pushing back. In Balochistan, girls' schools are now reopening. Roads and hospitals are being rebuilt. Youth, especially women, are now speaking up. These are the very developments India seeks to obstruct, fearing a stable, integrated Balochistan would spell the end of its regional leverage. But each decisive action by the Pakistani state chips away at Delhi's decades-old strategy of chaos by design. Moving forward, the path is clear. Security forces must continue to dismantle Raw's proxy networks. Judiciary and civil institutions must uphold the law without compromise. And public awareness must grow. These aren't just honor crimes, they're tactical wounds inflicted in a broader war of narratives and sovereignty. The honor killings in Quetta were not just tragic, they were a test. And Pakistan's response was a signal. This country will not surrender its identity to foreign-funded extremism. Ultimately, Balochistan's culture is not one of violence. It is one of honor, dignity, and resilience. and those who seek to corrupt it, whether through guns in Quetta or whispers in New Delhi, will find themselves facing not just a defensive state, but an awakened nation. That's all for today, folks. I'm your host, Dayan Rahmani. Keep watching Policy Wire for more updates.